Welcome back to another episode of the Unstuck Career Podcast. I have with me Becca, who was very kind and very patient and let me go to my daughter's baby shower, which I would have rather had the conversation with you, but no, it was fun. It was good.
Did you lose the baby game? Is that what you're saying?
I didn't even have to play the baby game, which was amazing because I thought I don't want to guess what the baby food is or whatever games they had. I just went and my job was making cupcakes. So I made the cupcakes, did the mix and mingle thing, and it was
Yeah,
it was fine.
good.
So it was funny. I put a call out a couple of weeks ago on my social media that hey, if you've got a story that would be helpful, then let's talk. And I heard first from your husband, Becca, who said, "Oh, you need to talk to my wife." And I said, "I'm happy to talk to your wife." And then I get this message from you saying, "My husband says I have to talk to you." So here we are. So So thanks for doing this. I want to hear about your story. I know very little, but why was it that your husband volunteered you as a guest on the podcast?
I would say first and foremost, he is a huge supporter and fantastic partner to me. He is a big reason why I felt brave enough to get going and take a risk on myself
Yeah.
in the first place. So he is loving this version of me, and I think he wants to just keep that going. So
Yeah.
he was literally sitting next to me. He messaged you, looked at me, and yes, that's exactly how that went down.
I love it. So how long have you been doing your own business?
I just started it last fall.
Okay,
So
so
about 5 months in right now.
new.
hmm
I love it.
Officially, yes.
I like it.
I quit my job last September,
Okay.
and actually, yes, I'm sorry, it was last June, and by September was when I started taking on clients.
Okay.
So there was a couple months in there where I was focusing on finishing my certification and getting that piece and getting the admin side set up.
Yeah.
And then when I thought that I was getting ready to get out there and start looking for clients and looking to build my classes, I got a phone call, cold call out of the blue. An amazing Google searcher
Uh,
somehow found my website that I hadn't told anybody about. And she became my first client. And I started exactly on the day I thought I would launch. I just started with an actual client on that day.
That's amazing. So, first of all, what was going on in your previous job that you started thinking, maybe I want to do something different?
In all honesty, I had started thinking something needed to change. I didn't know exactly what it was
Hmm.
about 2.5 years before that.
Okay.
So little bit of the backstory is my husband was career Air Force, and so we moved a lot. My career took, it was mostly portable because he did also encourage me to go back to school for my finance degree. So I got a master's in accounting, which opened a lot of doors for me, and it
Mm.
did make it easier to jump from country to state, different, all over the place in
Yeah.
our about 17 years
Hmm.
of doing that. So I was able to move around, but I wasn't able to really progress. I had to reintroduce myself every 2 years.
Okay.
So there was a whole lot of stagnation. And, I can do more if I get the chance, but I can't get the chance because by the time I'm close to really stepping into the roles that I know that I can perform well, we have to move again.
Yeah.
And often it was completely across the country, literally out of the country and back. So there was a lot of change that I had to stay adaptable to. It gave me a lot of experience and opportunity to show myself what I'm truly capable of doing.
Mm.
But to go introduce myself to someone who's never met me before can see a piece of paper only, it's a big leap. And a lot of people took faith and gave me a lot of trust. So I
Yeah.
was grateful for the opportunities I had, but I wasn't satisfied. So ultimately, I did the best I could with all of those moves. Was able to build a good resume from a finance and auditing perspective.
Hmm.
He retired, we stopped moving around, and I was able to rocket my career. it took almost a 2.5 times increase in a year's time,
Wow.
just because we stopped moving and I could go to someone and say, I am here. I'm
Uh-huh.
not leaving in 2 years.
Right.
I'm so that felt really good. I felt like I reached the next step that I've been hoping and waiting for almost, you know, I could say about 6 or 7 of those 17 years. So I was
Uh-huh.
really like, I can, and I'm ready, and I just need that time and place to be right at the same time. I took the positions as I grew. I did have to change companies from a company that I had been with for, amazingly, I'd been with a company for about 6.5 years through
Mm.
3 or 4 of our moves. They had enough offices in a couple of different places, and then they were open to teleworking before COVID happened, and then
Okay.
COVID happened. So that gave me some stability that helped. I got into the new company. Things were going well, but it uh, there was still a lot of growth that I wanted to be able to achieve. I didn't have that like next level,
Uh-huh.
and it just wasn't an environment where I was going to be able to successfully get to that next level and
Mm.
have the support stay there.
Yeah.
So I ended up looking again after a while with that company, found the company that I was with most recently, and it was honestly a fantastic company. Um, I went into that job though with the promise to myself that I'm not going to keep doing this cycle
Mm.
where I push myself so hard and I work 70 to 80 hours a week just to show the extra effort and show what I'm really capable of, do my job plus, 2 or 3 levels up just to show them I can and
Right.
hope that they'll give me a promotion based on that. I burnt myself out everywhere
Sure.
I went. So I promised myself I wasn't going to do that in the last company. I think I stayed true to that very well. And in crossing that line item off the list of that, my stress isn't coming from there anymore because I'm
Mhm.
better with my time management and my personal boundaries. I wanted to really be intentional about paying close attention to where am I feeling satisfied? What type of work is really, am I getting fired up and excited about doing? Do I feel really accomplished when I've finished it? And what kind of feedback am I getting from other people? Who's coming to me for what? What do they keep coming back for? Because I knew that if I ended up not feeling satisfied where I was in that company, that it wasn't the job, it wasn't the company, it wasn't even necessarily me, like I had done something wrong,
Mhm.
but maybe that my attention and my focus needed to change, and
Okay.
that maybe that was okay as long as I redirected my focus towards things that are true to me
Mhm.
and true that I could actually sustain and day in and day out wake up feeling good and happy and motivated, and that I would be able to be available to my family.
Yeah. So
So that's kind of the long story.
how did you figure out what was it? Because you're now not in a finance role,
Right.
you're in a fitness role.
Yes.
Was that something that you saw some interest in, or what? How did that all come about?
So I had always been very athletic and fitness minded in all of my life. So I did all the sports growing up all the time. I was in at least, back to back sports.
Hmm.
I would in high school lift weights with the football players because nobody else was in the weight room with it. At those times, I would do preseason track just to get ready for the next sport that I was about to do. I did martial arts for a good while during and after college. And then with beginning my cycle of moving all the time, that fell to the wayside, as did all of my dedicated fitness regimen. So I focused on like job hopping
Hmm.
instead of and sustaining a livelihood that way and contributing to our family that way versus taking care of my body.
Okay.
And when he retired and I knew we were stable, our children started taking Taekwondo again. I, within the first week, was watching them. I was like, yeah, I'm going to go, I'm going back.
Ah.
So I went back out onto the mats with them and started my own martial arts up again, got my black belt
Uh-huh.
during all of this intentional period of like paying attention to what's going on at work.
Yeah.
And every time work got so busy that I was having to skip class or something like that, it gnawed at me so deeply that I was like, okay, this is one of those things that I keep coming back to that I really love,
Yeah.
and that people are coming to me with good feedback. They enjoy the way that I'm helping them get better with their fitness activities as well,
Uh-huh.
just from insights that I would give. Um, so feeling very like a renewed sense of empowerment and confidence
Hmm.
when I got my black belt, that was huge because I'll admit I had a very near not going to do it moment right
Uh,
before my black belt test. I was so panicked that I was kidding myself. I'm too old for this.
uh-huh.
Too much, who am I kidding trying to do this stuff again?
Right.
I had to push through that and did well. It wasn't like I was handed a black belt. It was a grueling 6.5 hour test.
Wow.
And it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And I did it.
Hmm.
And from that moment on, it was like, there's more that I could do. I can keep doing this. I'm going to start focusing on this. I looked up, coaching, training, certification, and um, they asked me to be an assistant instructor there at the Taekwondo Dojang. So again, people kept coming to me. It was one of those things that was giving me fulfillment.
Yeah.
So I started looking into the options. What does it really look like from a financial perspective, of course, because I do have a family and that mattered.
Sure.
And then I started talking to Dave. I also got a life coach because I didn't want to make any major adjustments without being very careful.
Hmm.
Um, and I met with Ellen Meyer. Her company is called Grounded Growth. She had like a purposeful pivot 3-month program.
Hmm.
And working with her really helped me shift the way that I thought about things and to understand myself even a little bit better. I thought I knew myself really, really well. And
Mm.
coincidentally, Ellen has known me for most of my life as well. So it was fun working with her in that way
Yeah.
because she could be like, "Hey, Becca, you're doing it again." And I was like,
Right.
okay, you're not, yeah, you know me. So she could call me out in a way that I would listen to
Okay.
and just giving me some tips about, hey, give yourself gold stars too. It's okay.
Yes.
Like you deserve the credit. Recognize it, no matter, even if nobody else is in that moment, give yourself the pat on the back. Or you
Yeah.
hear something, you read something in an email or a text, and you imbue certain emotion into what you've read
Hmm.
based on your lived experience.
Right.
But what are some possible other alternatives that could have been going on? Is that person also under stress?
Hmm.
Is that person just a jerk? And that's not your fault.
Right.
So she was able to help me let go of a lot of the things that I had just historically in my life held on to as my responsibility.
Hmm.
I have to fix every single situation. I have to make it perfect. I have to make it all work.
Yeah.
And if it means that I just don't sleep tonight, that's what I'm going to do to make it all okay.
Uh,
And the toll it was taking on my body and my time with my family, it was too much. And
it's
so it
hard.
stopped being worth it. And I
Yeah.
started to understand that it wasn't my responsibility. I started to really believe that, and that it was also holding me back from things that I was really, I'm well aligned to do the business and the finance things.
Uh-huh.
Doing fitness doesn't mean I don't do those things.
Right.
Now I get to do it all.
Hmm.
I get to use both sides of my brain. It feels really, really good. And every single day, I have people coming to me saying, wow, I'm happier than I've been in 10 years because I've been doing these things. And thank you for making this possible. Thank you for making me feel seen and safe and secure in doing something that is hard for me. So
Yeah.
I feel like I'm able to reach people in a way that mattered to me,
Uh-huh.
take care of my health, be present with my family. And I'm grateful again, to Dave because his support is huge. I couldn't take that leap of going from what we were bringing home to let's just take a chance and see what happens.
Right. That's scary. And there are a couple things that you mentioned. I just want to point out because they're so important. And I don't want anyone to miss. Number one, a supportive person, partner,
Mhm.
friend, whoever it is,
Mhm.
so important because I would imagine that he saw potential that you just couldn't see because you're in the middle of it.
Mhm.
Another thing is you mentioned your age, and there's so many things that we do, and I think as we get older, we start to weigh things differently than we would if we were younger, and we
Mhm.
think that age is a factor, and it isn't the factor that we assume that it is.
Mhm.
And the other thing, I love that you had a coach that called you out on things in a way that only she could maybe.
Mhm.
But we all need somebody like that who doesn't believe our story, who doesn't believe the story that we've been telling ourselves, because we just assume that that story's true
Mhm.
because that's all we know.
Mhm.
And we're fooling ourselves, but not intentionally. We're fooling ourselves because that's all we know. And having somebody who has no interest, Dave wants to make sure that the relationship stays beneficial. So he may not call you out in a way that an outside person could. And so having somebody that's willing to tell you the truth is it's so valuable because then you can start to see that like with when you were having that struggle, do you even pursue the black belt? We tend to think we tend to assume that we know what our capacity is, what our capabilities are.
Mhm.
And having somebody else who says maybe, um, and I know with the clients that I work with, we undermine ourselves so many times. We're capable of so much more than we
Mhm.
assume just based on what we believe about ourselves. And so I
Mhm.
love that you found people like that who were able to contribute to this transition.
Mhm. Yeah, and it was fun in a way because it felt like there was a lot of reinforcement. So I went to Dave expecting him to be like, okay, let's really sit down and talk about this.
Uh-huh.
And he was an instant yes to
Yeah.
it. And that surprised me. And I was thinking, okay, but I need to really talk to somebody about how to do this, pay attention so that I don't screw this up because I am really good at self-sabotaging. I know
Mhm.
I could say that about myself. I just didn't know how to
We're all
stop it.
we're all really good at it.
And Ellen's 3 month thing popped down into my line of sight. And I was like,
Uh-huh.
oh, okay, okay. Um, and like I said, with my client that just somehow found a website that I didn't tell anybody about.
Yeah.
I to this day, I don't know how you Google search that well. I can't Google and find my website right now.
Right.
And every time I've thought about something like, hey, I wanted to start a self-defense class, and I mentioned that to one of the people who was taking cardio kickboxing from me.
Hmm.
5 minutes later, the head instructor from the dojo walked in and said, hey, Becca, somebody came by yesterday asking if they could start a self defense class, if we would help them with that. And would you want to do that? She didn't hear my conversation.
Right.
And all this to me, they felt like signs of I'm going in the right direction. I
Uh-huh.
need to take these steps. I need to not force it because that was one of the ways I would self sabotage. I would need everything to be perfect out the gate.
Yeah.
And so I would take on way too much. And with this approach, even though it's a massive change, to say, thank you, boss. I appreciate everything that you helped and let me do over these past, many months and year, but I'm gonna walk away. And it's not your
Mm.
fault, but I'm gonna just leave.
Right.
That was a big change, but everything after that has been at a manageable pace. I haven't
Uh-huh.
tried to just be an explosive new business. I've tried to make sure I'm actually making a positive impact on every person and being
Uh-huh.
human with them because that is my focus. And I want this to be a venture that's about helping people
Hmm.
and not about helping my bank account grow. If that happens
Right.
too, wonderful.
Right.
I'm not going to lie. But first and foremost, it has to be about taking care of the people that come to me with an expectation that I can do something good for them.
Yeah. That impact is so I think a lot of times we assume that money is the motivating factor for everything. Well, if I just had more money, I hear frequently, well, I could be miserable if the money were
Yeah.
right? And the answer is no, you can't.
Hmm.
It would last a little bit, but all of a sudden I had a person call me one time who was making multiple six figures.
Hmm.
And he said, I hate it. I hate my job. I got to get
Hmm.
out. He said,
Hmm.
I'll take a pay cut if that's what it takes. So finding something that is aligned with who you are, that gives you an opportunity to have an impact that is meaningful, so valuable.
Hmm.
So if you were talking to your an earlier version of you, whether it's the 6 months ago as you're starting to make these plans, or even before that, what advice would you give? What would you do differently? What would you double down on?
I would say honestly that it was all worth it because it all played a part in getting me to take the type of reflective stock that I did.
Yeah.
So there's value there. You know, every even the hard things that I went through, the things I did to myself ended up having some value. If I was to talk to myself about how to make it easier or to somebody else that might be going through something similar, I would say, be willing to take the feedback even when it's gross,
Mm.
even when your ego says, you don't know me or you don't understand. I'm
That's right.
actually smarter in this situation than you're giving me credit for. Put that ego in its right place.
Uh-huh.
There's value to that level of ego too, but it has
Sure.
to have humility with it.
Right.
And for a fair bit of my early, I'd say late 20s, approaching 30s, it was hard for me to understand that. And that held me back.
Mm.
I still was promoted places,
Yeah.
but it held me back because it may have been that I could have learned something faster
Right.
if I hadn't been like, here, no, just let me show you. You've been doing this for 30 years. You just hired me 8 months ago. I should already have a raise. I should, that kind of ego.
Right.
I'm holding back right now. Do you understand this? That kind of ego is not healthy, no matter how right you might be.
Yeah. That's yeah. I can see how that would hold you back.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the next question is going to be similar, but I'm curious if you have a different answer. There's somebody listening who is thinking, "Ah, I know what I want to do, and I just don't know that I can make it work, or I don't know." It's easy to look at somebody else and say, well, of course Becca can do that because,
Hmm.
of course Ken can do that because, of course whoever, but I can't because. So
Hmm.
if somebody were to come to you and say, you don't understand, Becca, I'm the exception. I
Hmm.
can't, I can't do something like that because I don't, whatever. What advice would you give to that person?
I would start by saying, lose the word can't.
Hmm.
That was something that I was raised with. That word wasn't allowed in our house.
I love it.
So I'm grateful to my parents, my mom especially, for that. Anytime we'd say I can't, she said, yes, you can. Maybe not yet, but
Right.
don't say can't.
Yeah.
So lose the word can't. Secondly, I would say start talking to the people that are in your circles, anyone that you're, around routinely, and just start floating ideas that are in line with what you want to do. Like for
Hmm.
in my case, it was I wanted to teach cardio kickboxing long before I decided I wanted to stop doing a corporate job. I
Uh,
knew I just wanted something else too. I said, you know, looked for places where that might be accepted and where there might be interest.
yeah.
So I spent a fair bit of time, probably more than a year, just talking to people and floating ideas of is this something that you would like?
Uh-huh.
Is this something that when I do this, that you want more of it?
Yeah.
And so finding out where the support structure lies and the full breadth of it, or at least enough of a breadth to get started and take the first step. And then just take another step after that. It's one step at a time. Don't think of it as like, okay, I start this month and 10 years from now, this is what it's going to look like. You're not going
Yeah.
to know right now.
No idea. No
Mhm.
idea. So what was the moment that you decided I'm going to step away from and the words I'm going to use are words that I hear other people use, the safety or the security or the comfort or the reliability. of the traditional job, especially since you didn't hate it.
Mhm.
What was the moment, or what was it that prompted you that now's the time?
It stopped feeling exciting and
Okay.
fun. There was a lot of routine, and I knew that if I wanted to get to the next level that could be exciting again, I would have to sacrifice some other things at home,
Mm,
and that didn't feel worth it.
yeah.
So for me, it was a very personal decision about day in and day out. I could get the job done and I could do it well, and I could teach other people how to do it well. And I'd spent a year trying to teach people, and the teaching is what I found fun.
Mm,
So when it came to where I wanted to be able to feel that level of excitement, enjoyment in what I'm doing each moment, that's what led me to make the change. I didn't feel that level of fun. I could, build the cool model, financial model, and
mhm.
do the nice presentations, and teach people how to understand the financial analysis and the breakdowns, but it wasn't fun to do on my own.
Yeah.
And I missed being with people more. It
Mhm.
wasn't that I needed to be in an office setting because I did work remotely as well, but I missed the actual interaction with people, the immediate give and take of I've helped them see something about themselves that they
Uh-huh.
didn't think was possible, and they keep coming back for more, and I keep being able to give them more. But where
Yeah.
it was with the finance and corporate worlds, you teach someone well enough that they don't need you anymore.
Right.
And then I'm back to doing my job all by myself, and I can get a lot more done, but I really liked the teaching part.
Right. I love that. Did you ever have anybody tell you that you were good at that? Or was that
At
something that you
teaching,
had to, yeah, the teaching, the getting impact or giving impact or the getting results, or was that something that you picked up on that I have a natural skill and I enjoy it?
it was feedback that I gotten over the course of many, many years on in various settings. Um, it's something that because I care so much about reaching people on their level,
Mhm.
that I've always striven for. And yes, I have unsolicited gotten that feedback, but it's something that I tried to, like I said, I was paying attention, especially over that last year of what do people keep coming back to me about?
Yeah.
And I kept getting feedback of no one's ever explained it like that. That was really helpful. Now I understand. I didn't get it before.
Yeah, that's valuable. And you've brought that up a couple times that that you paid attention to yourself, the things
Mhm,
that you liked, that you were good at, the
mhm,
things that gave you that excitement, that energy.
mhm,
And then also when you get feedback that you're good at it, that's really valuable information to have
mhm,
because I believe we all have natural strengths. And in some cases, we we know early on what they are. And I think in some cases we're blind to them because they're just part of who we are.
mhm.
And we assume, well, everybody's good at that. Everybody can do that. And when we discover that no, they can't, that somehow we're unique in that way, that gives us some of that maybe leverage that, oh, this is something that, because that's what it was for me in my job as well. My wife said she heard a podcast with a life coach and she said, oh, you would be good at this. And I thought, that's what I love about my job is the coaching.
Mhm.
And when I realized that this job is not, doesn't matter where I go in the company, I'm not going to be able to continue to the degree that I want
Mhm.
working with people.
Mhm.
And I thought I'm going to have to build something on my own. So
Mhm.
very similar in that sense. My biggest difference is I didn't like my boss. We did not get along very well, but that's really powerful. And I love that. And then the other thing I want to reemphasize it because I hear it so many times that so many times we think that an age, whatever age, an age means that we can't do something. We're too young,
Mhm.
we're too
Mhm.
old, and that's just not true.
Yeah. You're only too old when you decide that you are.
Yeah.
And I've watched others, and saw I've watched others say retire and literally sit down because they're retired now and not get up. And that turned into back pain, and that turned into can't stand up, and that
Right.
turned into just the quality of life that, the person that I'm thinking of was in my family, on my side of the family, and they lived a long time that way,
Yeah.
but it physically and emotionally hurt them.
Yeah.
And I didn't want that for myself. I didn't want my kids to look at me and jokingly like ask for uppies. They're 8 now,
Right.
almost 9, and
Fun.
it was getting hard to lift them. And I
Yeah.
didn't want that space of like I can't be present and cute and funny and silly with my kids because they're 80 pounds. And
Yeah.
it's too early. It's too soon. So yeah, you're only as old as you tell yourself, and that doesn't mean that go be stupid
Right.
and be reckless. You're not going to do things the same as you did 20 years ago. When I went back into martial arts, everything hurt,
Mm.
and I could not. I still can't kick as high as I could kick when I was 22,
Yeah.
but I'm almost 47 and I can kick hard.
Yeah. I'll stay away. I'm not.
No, it's safe. I can also control it because I have the muscle control.
Right.
But it's, yeah, I didn't want to give up, and I don't want other people to give up. So that's the biggest motivator, is if that was something that was driving me towards making any change, I wanted more of lifting other people up.
I love that. Such a great story, such a great example. Thank you so much for sharing your journey. This has been I've loved learning from you and hearing about your experience. If people want to learn more about you or connect with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
So that elusive website that I mentioned is nextdescentfitness.com.
Okay.
You can find it there. I do have a Facebook page. I do have a tiny Instagram. I'm learning how to do social media. So right now, the website is probably the most universal.
Okay. And I'll put that in the show notes as well. The Next Ascent Fitness.
Fitness.
Okay.
Yes.
So we'll share that. And thanks so much for taking the time.
Thank you, Ken. It's really been a pleasure talking with you.
This has been fun. And for everybody else, we'll talk to you next week.